Hey everybody, welcome back to Konversations today with me, Rick,
And me, Nain.
and this young man.
I'm Michael O'Leary.
This is Michael O'Leary. You know, we're here on a special occasion. If you look behind us, there's actually a seminar going on. And Nain, why don't you tell our general public what the seminar thing is about?
General public?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
what we're calling them now?
Well, the
It's
audience,
like the 5 people that watch the show, right? I'm just saying. We love you guys, though.
all 5 of you. It's my
we're
wife,
actually-
your 2 kids,
Yeah, that's...
the
at
police
least
that censor people.
Oh, that guy that keeps the reports. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got it. But what were we talking about? Oh, why we're here. The seminar is actually a charity seminar that has been put on by Bear Carrillo here at, Twin Tigers Self-Defense Academy? Or Academy of
Academy of Self-Defense.
I get that wrong every single time I flip it. I don't know. But we're here because of this gentleman and something that's going on with your son, correct?
Correct.
So this is a charity seminar, so all the proceeds are going to this wonderful gentleman and his family because, man, that's a tough time you guys are going
Yeah,
through right now.
it's definitely been a crazy time. The end of December, I brought my son into the emergency room, and he was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. And most people think that cirrhosis is caused just by drinking, and in a lot of cases, cirrhosis is
Induced,
self-induced from drinking, but it wasn't in this case. The doctors, after everything was done, how they're classifying it is what they refer to as cryptogenic, which means there's no known cause for why the liver
The
failed.
simple answer was that we don't know.
We don't know,
Yeah. Cryptogenic is doctors speak for we don't know what the fuck will happen.
Yeah.
So
How old is your son?
he's 25.
25.
crap.
Yeah, he's 25. So
And his name?
his name is Sean.
Is it O'Leary?
Yes. Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
He's the father, but the dad, we don't know.
But my wife doesn't see that. But yeah.
Did you get cable recently?
Yeah.
Or 25 years ago?
So yeah, after we brought him into the ER, because he was exhibiting some symptoms that I was concerned with, and he had jaundice, and then his
yeah, so he's turning yellowish.
and then his stomach started to expand. So we knew something was going on, and we brought him in, and that's when he was diagnosed with the cirrhosis. But before the diagnosis came through, they were doing a lot of tests at the hospital, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So they had to call in a specialist, and as soon as the specialist was giving all of the test results and everything, they said, he needs to come down to San Francisco.
Wow.
Oh,
What
So
was the doctor's name, the specialist?
his name is Dr. Merriman.
That's my wife's doctor. He works.
Yeah.
And the reason why I brought it because he had mentioned earlier to me that you took him to California Pacific, right?
Medical
and my
Center.
wife works there at the kidney and transplant. And Merriman is actually one of her doctors that she. So you might actually
Her
know
bosses,
my wife,
yeah.
honey. Shout out to Dr. Merriman.
do you remember this guy?
yeah.
He was the one that was extra pale that day.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Oh man, that's just.
So what goes through your
Whoa,
head when you're
yeah.
hearing the specialist saying, "Hey, we need to get him right here"? I mean, that's got to have been crazy.
It was. My wife and I were just. There's a lot of emotional things going on with both of us because our son's only 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's like, did he start drinking at 10? Like, what's
Yeah.
happening? What did we not know about our son?
Yeah, and that was the thing. The
Yeah.
doctors, when we initially went to the hospital, and they said, "Oh, well, it's cirrhosis," and everything was okay. Well, how much do you drink? And it was just constant questions about
Oh, I can
that
imagine,
revolving around that. So, I wasn't the most pleasant person to be around.
Oh, man.
Well, that's your kid, of course.
Yeah.
I can imagine,
So.
And they have to ask those questions, but still,
I know.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me? Like, dude, help him now. What does that have?
Exactly, and it was very. It seemed to be very judgmental on some of the staff that were at the hospital. But once we got down to San Francisco, it was much better. Everything was revolved around more testing. What do we need to do to make him comfortable, and I'm just taking care of him. So my wife and I were at the hospital most of January, just going in and being with our son. When we get up, first thing in the morning, we head over to the hospital, and we were there until the evening time. So they were kind of filling us in on what was going to happen, and it was getting him onto the donor list because he needed a liver transplant. And fortunately for us and for my son, when we finally got onto the other transplant list, it was a Tuesday, and 2 days later they called us and said that they had a donor organ available.
Know how rare that is to get it that quickly? I
Yes.
mean, my wife has always told me stories that people are waiting weeks and weeks and months and sometimes longer.
Yeah, no,
That's crazy.
we were extremely fortunate that it came through that fast.
That's a crazy blessing. It really is.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is.
Wow.
We were really thankful, how fast it came through. But the surgery was a success, and he was doing very well after the surgery. His liver numbers were good where they needed to be. So he was discharged probably within a week from the hospital.
Wow, that's
But
amazing.
yeah, it was. After
Thank
we
you
were
for coming. Here's your liver.
Here you go.
Want a side of rice with that?
Don't forget to tip your waiters.
But after the surgery, we had to stay in San Francisco for another 30 days.
Oh, wow.
So
Just
he had to go.
case, yeah.
Well, he had to go in weekly for blood tests and to
Right.
visit with the doctors. And we
Oh,
had to get the
okay. Yes, that
medication
was-
right.
Meanwhile, the bills are piling up.
Yeah, the bills are piling up.
You had to rent a hotel or
No, my wife and I are actually originally from the Bay Area.
Oh,
So
really? Mm-hmm. Where about? Where you guys? Where'd you grow up?
San Bruno.
Oh,
right
Right next to me.
Yeah, right next to him.
Yeah, we. I lived in Pacifica, San Bruno, Millbrae, Redwood City. So
Okay,
yeah,
So you knew the area.
yeah, I knew the area.
Just kept avoiding the fog.
Around
My mother-in-law lives in San Bruno, so we had a
Okay.
place to stay, which
Oh,
was good.
wow,
that's,
then you got really lucky
yeah.
on a lot of things.
Yeah.
You ever feel like God's really watching out and keeping an eye and saying, hey, he goes, no, I'm a devil worshiper. Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Dude, somebody got stabbed in San Francisco that happened to match your son's
Yeah.
blood type, and it wasn't stabbed in the liver.
Yeah.
It's just so many things that just had to happen.
After everything that happened, in addition to what I was going on with my son, there was other things going on that happened at our house.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
have
That's
to.
got to make a believer out of anybody. One of the things that I also, when we were doing the research, some of the research, Bear was kind of to just let us know that, okay, here's some of the things that happened. Now, this wasn't the only problem that you had while all this stuff is going on, right?
No.
Yeah, because in the Bay Area we have fires, floodings, and blah blah blah. So let's dude, I was like, of all the things that could go wrong, it all did at the same time. That's crazy.
Yeah, it did. It was just a wild time. Right before, right before Christmas, the heater in our house went out.
Right.
So
Winter and
yeah,
it's cold
and-
out here.
Yeah, it gets cold. So the heater went out, and we had someone come out to take a look at it, and the person that came out said, "Oh well, your heater's shot, so
You need a new one.
yeah." Well, they said, "Well, we can repair it. We just can't say how long it's going to last. To repair it's going to be $4,000, and if you want a new one, it's going to be $20,000." I'm like, "Oh." So, we just set that to the side for a
I think
little
we got to go to
bit.
Kmart, get more blankets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Long johns for everybody.
yeah, that was pretty much it. We had space heaters in the living room, and the boys had them in their rooms.
That
It
cranks
was
up more
crazy.
bills, though. You know.
It does.
That's,
So
Yeah, electric bills
that
just-
happened, and then the following week we brought up my son to the hospital,
Oh,
and
man.
all of that was going on. So while we were down in San Francisco, we weren't paying attention to the heater. So
Right.
that that just kind of fell by the wayside. And when Sean was released initially from the hospital and sent home so we could wait for the liver transplant, well, we get home and what was the first thing that that went wrong? There's a pipe that was a hot water pipe that goes, it's in right behind. We thought it was something to do with our washer and dryer, because it broke, and we had this huge puddle in our living room.
Oh, in the
in the living room.
Yeah, I'm like,
I thought
so-
maybe like the laundry room.
Yeah.
No, living room.
No, we had to turn our hot. Well, right before that, our hot water heater went out.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, we forgot that part.
Yeah, we forgot that. And then next day,
I'm
this
gonna
pipe
scoot over here
burst.
just a little bit.
Just in case. I know. I felt like we had a black cloud over us for a while. So this pipe burst.
Yeah.
So we had to turn the water off and to our house.
Right.
So we had no water whatsoever. And the next day, Sean gets up, and when your liver fails, your blood doesn't coagulate.
Right.
So, well, he got a cut on his finger
yeah.
somehow in the
Right.
middle of the night, and he
Yeah.
was
It's a
bleeding.
running faucet now.
Yeah, so he was bleeding all over the place, and he gets up in the morning. He's caked in blood. There's blood all over the his bed, and we had before he got up, we had contacted a plumber to come out to take a look and see if he could figure out what was going on.
We also have a leak over here. Can
Yeah.
you fix him as well?
So
Jesus.
while
Just cut it right
the plumber is there, he's trying to figure out where the
Where
leak
is it?
is, and
goodness.
then Sean gets up, and we're dealing with that. We have no water whatsoever, so we can't do anything. And while all this chaos is going on, and we had called the doctor to let them know what was happening with him, and they hung up and said, "Well, we'll get back to you to let you know what we want you to do." Well, they contacted us like a half hour later, said, "Hey, a liver came in. You need to get down here." We had 6 hours to get
Meanwhile,
down.
you still got the faucet, the rinse, and all this other crap going
Yeah.
on.
So, I know we called you out, Mr. Plumber, but can you wash the house? We'll be back in like a month.
Yeah. Well, thankfully the plumber, the company that came out, the guy he was fantastic. I mean, he was sympathetic to what was going on. He's
Right.
like, "Hey, don't worry." He goes, "I'm gonna take care of you guys." And my middle son's 21, so he stayed at the house while the plumber was there.
Okay.
But yeah, it was nuts.
Not to
we had
sidetrack too much, but how many children do you have?
I have 3.
Okay. All boys?
All boys.
Oh, wow. Your wife must.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's 3 of you.
Yeah, there's 3 clones of me.
my
My
goodness.
oldest is 25, my middle son is 21,
Okay.
and
Oh, so
my
your
youngest is
firstborn is
17.
John. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
17, okay. I thought-
Yeah,
And they're all just big old you.
yeah, pretty much. My middle son looks a little bit more like my wife.
Oh, okay.
Lucky him.
Yeah,
He's the handsome one. Then.
yeah, he's the handsome one.
He's the handsome one.
Yeah, they're.
One of the things that I find fascinating is that in the martial world, as we are in, you hear these little stories that go on, right? And we try to be a good community.
Yes.
And I'm bringing this up because one of the things that we're trying to do is help Mike with all of these
Oh, yeah.
enormous bills that he's been piling. It's got to be tough. I mean, you have the medical, you have the heater, you have the plumbing.
Right.
I mean,
Leak.
and then you have
Not
3 boys.
working.
Yeah.
And you're not working from it.
Well, I'm
So-
back to work now.
Okay.
But I did have to take all of January off.
Yeah,
I take that back. I think I worked like 4 days
Jesus.
in January. We were, down in San Francisco the whole time, and if anyone knows anything about San Francisco, there's no parking. You have to pay out the
Everything,
nose.
yeah.
And the hospital has a parking garage, which is great, but it's $35 a day.
Yeah. Yep.
And they give you a little, because if you are a patient there, they give family members these little discounted tickets, so it's only $21 a day.
Yeah. Okay. Only.
Yeah. So we were eating out all the time.
Well, yeah, it's not even
Because-
cook in the hospital, right?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, don't want to bring a hot plate or anything in there. They frown on it.
Yeah, a little bit.
You should have called my wife. We would have brought you food.
If we had known.
Had we known,
Yeah.
had we known.
Well, no, because I've dropped him off probably the same hospital a few times for his surgeries, so
Yeah.
we're familiar with the area.
Yeah.
We know.
We're very familiar with the
Oh,
area.
incidentally, folks, they have these cool shirts, as you can see.
Oh.
I think it says, Sick Men of Asia? No, that was the Enter the Dragon one.
Different.
Chinese Connection.
There you go.
What does that actually say?
This is Cijo Oliva's. I think this is the Dragon Fist.
Okay.
Or,
And then, if you would like one of these shirts, because it has this really cool stuff in the back here.
Yep, that's Sijo's Dragon Fist combat system.
Yep, and that's what we're learning behind us back here.
Oh, we did forget to mention the guy teaching. Yeah, it's Sijo Johnny Oliva, another good friend of ours who is donating his time for the cause. So he's here teaching for 4 hours? Something
4
like that?
hours.
Yes, 4 hours.
Yeah.
So for those of you, we talked about it before on Nain Short, so if you didn't catch it, you're a terrible human being. But if you feel bad, get one of the shirts, help the cause. We'll add the GoFundMe somewhere in here, and definitely, if you can help, please do. If you can spread the word, because, dude, that's a lot, and that all happened in a span of what, less than a month?
less than a month. It was
Less than a month.
Yeah, it was-
Jesus. And during Christmas.
Yeah, it was a span of 3 weeks. All of this happened.
During Christmas.
Yeah.
Because it's like mid-December, right? Yeah, just
Yeah.
before Christmas. Oh my goodness! So yeah, I mean, how many sleepless nights did you go? Would you say that you?
The first week was really tough. We didn't get a lot of sleep, and the sleep we did get was
So I
You know,
want to talk
sporadic.
about the more important person in this thing going on. Your wife has been going crazy. I mean, or is she the rock and you're the one that was crying like a little?
truthfully, yeah. Usually I'm the one that's a little bit more steady during chaotic times, but this time my wife was the rock,
Yay, mom!
Yay!
and
We should
I
have
was
had her on the show.
Yeah. Do we have time to call her?
I was the emotional mess. It was definitely.
Well, you
tough.
have two more. He's the eldest. What the heck?
Yeah.
The first one's always the throwaway one, anyways, right? It got better.
It's time for him to leave anyway.
That's
Yeah.
the weirdest sign to tell your kid. You know what? It's time you live on
Yeah.
your own. You're messed up. What's wrong with you?
Folks, if we weren't like this, we wouldn't be us.
Nope, no, we wouldn't. I mean, he's well. How's he doing, by the way? Now that he's, because wasn't there an issue he had to go back?
Yeah, he actually just went back this past Friday. His liver numbers have gone up. So
Is that a positive or negative? I don't know anything about livers other than
his liver numbers were in the normal range right after his surgery, and they stayed that way. And then about 2 weeks ago, his liver numbers shot up, and they've stayed up. So I'm not sure what's going on. He had to go back down to San Francisco this past Friday for a. It wasn't a CT scan. It was my mind just went blank.
MRI?
Nope.
Ultrasound.
Thank you. Ultrasound. Yeah, he had to
Been
go
there,
in
done
for.
that.
Yeah, he had to go in for an ultrasound. The ultrasound came back normal.
Good.
So now it's just a matter of what's going on.
What happened? What caused it?
Yeah.
Are you stressed out? Are you making him take out the trash and stuff now? I mean,
No.
Okay.
He
So
still
it's not
can't.
stress.
Yeah. No. He can't lift anything
Right.
over I think 10 pounds still.
Yeah.
So he just has been taking
He
it
probably
easy.
did just so he didn't have to do any of the chores. It's a plan.
I know,
It's all planned
kids.
out.
He's like, I don't want to drink, but you know what? If it helps, he's just gonna inject it into the
Yeah.
body directly. But no, that's a real thing. Actually, my mother's side of the family is known for having fatty livers naturally, and two of her cousins have died of cirrhosis, never having touched alcohol.
Yeah.
They never drank, never even went near it. But yeah, their liver just gave out. I think I have a fatty liver too, and I produce the enzyme as if I had a hangover, but I don't
yeah.
without having to drink. But I still do it, which is probably bad. So, word of caution.
Yes.
Definitely.
So the other one of the other reasons we're here is that you are actually a real martial artist.
I am.
Let's not. We forgot to talk about that person.
Oh, right. He's not just some random person.
Yeah, just some random person off the street.
Hey, buddy, you look like you're having a tough
Yeah, the
time.
sob story. We got him on the show. What the hell?
Yeah, you get your money afterwards.
So, when did you start martial arts?
I started martial arts back in the mid '70s. I was a kid, and I was
In the Bay Area.
in the Bay Area. I was getting picked on a lot, and
Look at him. Look
yeah,
Late bloomer.
my dad, he was a deputy with San Mateo County, and he knew someone on the Pacifica Police Department who was a martial artist. So we went to his name was Larry Luster, who was a black belt in Danza Rue.
Wow.
And we started taking classes.
Yeah.
I started taking classes with him when I was a kid, and I wasn't there that long. I didn't even get up to yell about. My parents were going through a rough patch at that time.
So it runs
we
in
had
the family,
yeah.
folks. What are you gonna do?
So I had to stop, and then my at that time I must have been in first, second grade, and my parents had split up, and I was after school I had a babysitter, and her name was Jane Halbuna, and her husband was Joe Halbuna, who was a Kajikemba practitioner. So he opened up his school in Pacifica. So all the kids that were at the house, we go pass out flyers everywhere for his new school. So I started exactly. So we were passing out flyers for his new school, and I started training Kajikempo with Joe Halbuna.
Oh,
and
very cool.
at that time I think there was me and one other kid in the class, and everyone else was an adult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was lots of fun. One of the exercises that we had to do, I guess it was just, toughen up your midsection. Everyone would lay down on the floor, and one student would walk across everyone's stomach. Oh. Well, here I am. I think I was like 8 years old at the time. And I started, I started walking, going across, and because of my short legs, I didn't quite reach this guy's stomach, and I stepped on his groin, and this guy just went whoop, he popped up, and he's like, oh! His eyes were bugging out of his head. Yeah, that was.
Oh my god, that's too funny.
Wait, a Kajikembo class and they weren't wearing cups?
Yeah, I guess
Back
not.
in the day, no.
Oh my god.
We're talking in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
No, they didn't have those back then.
Yeah.
They didn't have the gear that they have these days.
Yeah, not
I'm
like today.
from the 70s too. I'm like, yeah, they didn't have quite the good gear that we have nowadays.
No.
They come along.
So, I mean, because of that experience, I was a kid, so I of course looked up to. I don't think he was a senior grandmaster at the time, but I really looked up to him. So I have a fondness in my heart for
cool.
the Kajikempo system.
And are you
for
teaching
him.
now?
I am teaching. I've been teaching since
Let's
the
plug the
early.
school. Where at?
I am in Folsom. Right now I'm teaching with Premier Martial Arts in Folsom. Yeah. So I've been teaching since '93. So when I first
wow.
started.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
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 I've only learned my system since '92, so yeah, we're right there.
Yeah.
Why are you comparing yourself to him?
Oh, because I want him to think that we actually know something.
So no,
Other than just being loudmouth idiots who just get on the camera.
yeah, you know, for as long as I've been in, teaching, I still like to consider myself, just a student.
beginner.
Yeah.
Humility, folks. Learn it.
We have none. Me and
No,
none.
Yeah.
none whatsoever. Or shame.
But
No shame at all.
shame
for
at
sure.
so I mean, John and Bear, I've known, since
Yeah,
the
where did you
early
guys
90s.
meet? Because John is
Actually-
an interesting character, isn't he?
He is
Johnny Oliva.
uh,
Phew,
yeah.
That guy.
when
Did his beard get bigger?
that or it, well, it came off
His
the head.
face
So
got
just,
smaller?
yeah.
Oh,
As the head grew, the head just.
I first met Bear, guys, was I think 92, early 92. We were both part of United Studios, and we were at this. It was like this business meeting, and our instructor introduced us because I was in the Marine Corps at the time, and Bear had just gotten out of the Air Force. He's like,
Fi.
yeah. So he's like, oh, two military guys will get along, and we did. I mean, Bear and I hit it off right away.
The Air Force.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, rather than paying attention to this business meeting that was going on, Bear and I were in the back talking the whole time. So
Yeah, that's what veterans do.
we've been good friends.
Were you guys
ever
showing off
since.
each other's bullet wounds and stuff?
No, I was never in combat.
Oh, okay.
Thankfully, neither was
Oh,
Bear.
okay.
But we just it was our common interest with the military. But then we found out we had a lot in common martial arts wise, and we just we hit it off, and we've been really good friends ever since. And I had a school in Foster City,
Okay, cool.
and I was teaching one day, and all of a sudden this guy walks in to my lobby area, and he's got a stern look on his face, and he's checking things out, and I could tell just by looking at him he's evaluating to make sure you just when you've been teaching long enough, some people just walk into the door and you can tell right away that they're checking you out to see if you're up to to their
Code,
standards.
to code.
And so I walked